So tell us a little bit about what we're seeing right now.
Okay, first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is McDaniel. I'm the superintendent here in Lee County School District. And obviously, we're having this conference to respond to a picture that was forwarded to the media with regards to the damage to the roof that you see behind me. A little history. I think it's important that we understand the history. We moved the students to this facility back in 2014 from another older facility that had some major roofing issues. In order to repair those roofs, it was going to be in excess of $1 million. So we thought it would be fiscally prudent if we would renovate this building, which we did, and move the students here. All right, that process involved state fire marshal, local fire marshal, the Office of School Facilities with the State Department of Ed. And so we had to do sprinkling and meet all the state codes, the fire codes. We met all those codes. Well, this building was still a part of this facility as it is now. Grant you, the roof was not collapsed as much as it is right now, but we're talking 6 years since that happened. What we were able to secure is that we got the approval of the state fire marshal, the local fire marshal, Office of School Facilities. We got what's called a certificate of occupancy, which allowed us to occupy the building and start school. So that was done at that time. We never used this part of the building. While they granted us the opportunity to use it as storage, we deemed it inappropriate for us to use. It has been locked. We don't store anything. We don't go in there. The principal has the keys, and so we never use it. Now, due to weather and the deterioration of the building, it has continued to collapse. We're talking about a facility I think was built in 1954. And we have some dated school facilities. We have a high school that's really nice, a middle school that's really nice, but our elementary schools are very dated. And we have had some conversation about how do we address those facility needs in the future. Now, in August, someone sent a photo to one of you guys, one of the media outlets, showing this picture. And we responded to the State Department of Ed because they called as well, Office of School Facilities. They came down, state officials from the state marshal came down, about 8 individuals total. And so we walked them through the facility. They climbed up on the ladder, they looked into the facility, they checked it out, and they deemed that it was appropriate. Why did they deem it appropriate? If you look, you see that brick wall that goes at like an apex behind the fire stack. That's called a firewall. And what they said, these are the fire officials, I don't know, I'm not that expertise in that area, that there was no way if this building caught on fire that the fire would be able to jump that wall and go over to the main building. So that's the rationale for it. It was approved in 2014. They came back in August, checked it, and it was approved again. What have we done since that time? We have redirected. This was our bus loop. Ms. Boyd, our principal, redirected. We redirected our bus traffic. Our buses no longer come through this loop. They go here and then out through the area we just came in through. Our students are not using this area. It's off to everybody, off limits. What else are we doing? Ironically, this came up. Mr. Wilson, our Director of Operations, have been securing quotes or bids to demolish that part of the building. It's pretty pricey, and we're in a district that has very limited funds, limited resources, and we're going to probably have to rely on the state and local to help us with this project. Now, granted, it is an eyesore. I hate to see it. I think our students deserve better. I know they deserve better, but I would no way, this is the part that bothers me, for anyone to believe that we would put our students or our staff in a situation that would be dangerous to them. We would never do that. We would absolutely never do that. That's not why I'm in the business. We're here to protect children. And for someone of the community to send a picture to the media or someone else, when you can call the principal, you can call the director of operation, you can call me and I can respond. We could have shared this information. Now, where do we go from here? Again, we have quotes to do the demolition, but prior to doing the demolition, you have to get an asbestos certification. We have secured that. Actually, the gentleman who did the original asbestos certification did what's called a recertification because it's beyond 3 years. If it's beyond 3 years, you have to get it recertified. So now we're waiting on one more quote and to make a decision, and then maybe we can get some people who are reporting this to come to the table and bring some money to the table so we can pay to have it demolished. But that's the plan. Okay, that is the plan. Those are the facts. Now, I've also heard someone said, well, there's asbestos in there. There's asbestos in every building that was built from the 50s through the 60s, every building. There are levels or range of asbestos. We have that report. Again, it was approved by folks, experts in that area, and DHEC, so they know what exists there. And then secondly, I would like to show you the building, and that we don't access it. It's totally locked, and for someone to believe that our students would be in a building like that is insane. We would not put our kids in harm's way like that. So for the community, for everyone watching, it's unfortunate that students are being educated in a building here with that attached to it. I grant you that. We're working on a plan to address that. But we do not have a surplus of funds to just address things like that. We're going to rely on the state and the county and hopefully some local folks. When we bring it to the table, we need you to step up at the table and support our efforts to improve our facilities for our students. So that's factually what has happened. If anyone would like to see the documents to support where it was approved, we have that. And what we've done, maybe have one of the quotes with me. So I'm not just saying this is what's actually happened. So it was just ironic that this came about today after we addressed it in August. So those are the facts.
A person asks, what is stopping the rest of the building from caving in like this over here?
Well, good question. Take a look at the structure. What is that made out of over there? Wood. Wood that's very old and dated. I was born in 57. That was born in 54. I'm 64 years old. Do the math. If you look at the roof here, that's a solid structure, flat roof with rocks and concrete. That's not going to cave in. And then the other thing I would challenge and I would say to people, if your child is attending school here and you did not know that we were not using that building, now I grant you we have limited visitation during the pandemic, but it's been closed for years. And so if your child has been a student here, that probably means you haven't visited your child's school. So let's before we become critics, I think we need to understand, and that which we do not understand, ask, and we'll be glad to provide the information. We know that our students deserve a better facility than this, but until we can get the funds, until the state provides the funds, the county provides the funds, the community vote if there is a referendum to build a new school, to improve, we've got to do what we can to make sure it's safe and it's cosmetically pleasing to our students with what we have. And that's what we've done. In no way, shape, or form is that, while it looks bad, that it's a safety situation for anyone in the major part of the building.
You mentioned that you guys were taking bids to have this demolished. Do you know about how long that whole process will take?
We've already received 2 quotes. We're expecting to get one more next week. We've got the DHEC recertification. That was a major part of it. And so hopefully next week that will be done.
The
bids, right.
And roughly, how much does it look like that would cost?
I wouldn't want to say that right now since we're waiting on a third person to bid. So we'll just see what comes in, and then we will rely on some of our colleagues across the state or the State Department to see if it's reasonable.
And I know not only parents reached out to us, but just like community members in general, because you guys are a tight-knit community. What would you like those people to know who maybe that don't have kids in here but are just concerned in general?
Well, I hope everything I said prior to your question, because those are the facts. But I do want our community to know that I am very open to anything you'd like to ask with regards to our operation, with regards to facilities. We can't discuss personnel, but we'll provide facts if you want the facts. I've shared the facts. The facts are our students are perfectly safe in the building, the major part of the building here. We do not, absolutely do not use this part of the building. Again, it doesn't look good. I hate the way it looks, but we do not and never have had students to use that facility.
I know a lot of, go ahead. I know a lot of comments were like, well, when is the next board meeting so they could talk about the issue like this? When is that next meeting?
We meet every fourth Thursday. Our board meets physically due to the COVID guidelines, but the community can join on the call or via Zoom. We addressed it at the last meeting. Unfortunately, maybe they weren't on the call, but it was addressed at the last meeting as well. Because I shared with the board since August, we've been kind of talking about what the future may look like. And so we did talk about the roofing issue because it's getting progressively worse. And so I know there's something has to be done. So that's it. That's the building is what it is. We have a plan to get it demolished. And so there's what is the discussion about.
And roughly how many students does this building?
We have about 430, about 430 students, with the potential to housing 500, 430 now.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much.
We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
But we could have gotten this done today without having a parent call, a Zoom with the parents. Because
Well,
I
yeah,
can provide the facts. Parents can provide how they feel.
Right.
But I think you ought to get the facts before we get to that.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I mean
That's just my perception.
right.
Okay.
That
No
I
problem.
think-
Okay.